Oh, I sounded like Mrs. Doubtfire there. Hiya! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Johanna. Me, my dog and books. That grumble was, where is she? Lucy. She sometimes does that if I shout. Because she thinks like somebody's just came into the house. So she's sitting around. She's doing that thing at the time of night where she wants in and then she wants out and then she wants in and then she wants out, one out and out. So we're playing open the door and close the door for Lucy, should her wish desire it. Anyway, I would have shown Patty. She was lying in her bed and now she's in the chair. Let's see if I can get her. Where is she? Hello, Patty. They've both just had Kongs, so they've got little paws, probably with bits of peanut butter on it. Haven't you? You come and say hello? You come. She's just her own lady. She's her own lady. Anyway, what was it on here to run? What was I on for? I know what I was on for. It's May's reading wrap up. Yes. In May, now, how many books? 15 books, 1 DNF. The DNF I feel a wee bit upset about, but I'll talk to you that later. Honestly, Lucy, you've been out 10 times. She's standing at the door again. She's going to bark at me at some point. Anyway, and of those books, I'm looking at my charts, so I'll try and put them up here because I've been using Storygraph. Sorry, I've got my laptop here. Looks like I dropped my pen. I've got my laptop here, so but I'll put the graphs up. So according to my stats, if I filter, I read 15 books. It's 4,931 pages, apparently. My moods were pretty mixed, actually. Well, what's the darkest one? Dark. Emotional, and the sort of navy blue one's sad. Dark, emotional, and sad. So that's my moods. Pace-wise, most of them were medium. Then fast, with only like a small percentage being slow. Well done, me. Look at the number of books that I read that were over 300 pages. Yay! Because I normally, and I wonder if it's because some of the books I was reading was on audio, because don't get me wrong, I do love a big book, you know, to get stuck in, but I still always get intimidated by a big size book. Got the rooibos tea with me. Fiction versus non-fiction. Now, this is not well, actually, last month was about the same. It was 53% fiction. So almost 50-50 on the fiction and non-fiction. Genres, well, I'll show you the wee chart here. It looks mostly thriller, memoir. Who even am I? Contemporary. Then it kind of goes into a mix of sci-fi, mystery, crime, sociology, feminism. And format, I was almost 50-50 on print and audio, with, that's maybe only like one ebook. An average star rating for the month of May, which is pretty good for me, is 4.08. Well done. So that's the statty McStats bit. You want to know the books, don't you? So I'll start from the first one I read. This was a reread. It's probably, and it was Paris, the Memoir, because I managed to pick up the hardback second hand. I read this when it first came out last year, near the end of last year. I read it when it came out. I got a copy from the library, and I caveat this review by saying I was not a Paris Hilton fan. I am now a Paris Hilton fan. If you thought you knew who Paris Hilton was and you haven't read this book, you don't know who Paris Hilton is. It's so honest. The trauma she went through as a child. Yes, she's from privilege, but that doesn't negate the literal abuse she experienced in one of these, what do you call them? Troubled teens industry, like schools that they put you in. She was literally kidnapped from her own home, organised by her parents. Don't diss on her parents, they thought they were doing a good thing. And then you learn about her trauma from that, her creating her brand, her creating this character that we all know as Paris Hilton. It is so honest, it is so good. I reread it because I wanted to read it on audio. And highly recommend it on audio. This was 5 stars for me. So good, honestly. See, when you think you have, and she obviously grew up in that era where it was the likes of Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, and that group of people were just absolutely getting annihilated by the paparazzi, especially young women. And they were just overly sexualised and everything. Honestly, it was such a fascinating read. So the month started off well, although I knew I would like it because I'd read it before and it was 5 stars. Then I read, oh, haven't got it. The more I do these videos, the more I think I should be prepared, shouldn't I? Yeah, I'm in my pyjamas with a fleecy cosy top on because I've not long had a bath. Yeah, so cozy. Anyway, the other one is I don't have the finished copy. I'm going to have to buy it, but it's only a hardback right now, and all the John Mars I've got are in paperback. So it is The Family Experiment, dystopian speculative fiction. I mean, we're in near future Britain where most people can't afford to have kids, so there's this reality TV show where you can go on and like game it against other parents of this virtual child. So, I have one of my reading vlogs, so I've done a proper review of this, but it is so good. It was 5 stars for me. He is so good at writing speculative fiction, The Marriage Act, and then this. Now, if you've read any of these, he does tend to put like little references, but you can read them as standalone. So like The Passengers and the one I've still not read, I have got them, and they came before The Marriage Act and this one. So I think when you read them, you would maybe pick up the odd kind of reference. But this is just so good. It makes a lot of social commentary about things like the metaverse, cost of living crisis, and that people just can't afford to have kids. People shipping their kids off in small boats and stuff. Honestly, it's so good. And because he writes characters, he does nice short snappy chapters. Each chapter is kind of like the point of view of one of the reality TV show contestants. So good, so good. Then next, and I don't have it, and I don't know why. I think I must have put it in my wee free library and work because I thought I'm not going to read this. So it's Red River 7 by A.J. Ryan. It's kind of dystopian fiction. It came from my horror abominable book club subscription that I get, and I always do a bit of a buddy read with them, with one of the ones with a few other people. Excuse me, I need to try and get through one of these booktubes for you without yawning. I'm just like permanently tired. Anyway, I had really high hopes because there's like 6 or maybe there's 7, I can't remember because I don't have the book in front of me. People wake up in this boat, they've all got amnesia, so they don't know who they are and why they're there, but they realise that they've all got kind of skills and they've all got weapons, so you know, all ready to do something, and they discover that not only are they a danger to themselves and others, they appear to be on a mission for something, and it's trying to understand what that is. So the premise was really good. There was just something that kind of, I really enjoyed it. It was a solid 3 star, but I did feel like there was just something missing from it that I couldn't quite put my fingers on. but if you like, and it was kind of set in London, and they were going in, and then every so often, like, there'd be like one or two of the people on the boat and they would start to get a flashback, and then you knew that if they were starting to remember stuff, bad stuff was going to happen. Overall, it was good. Solid 3 stars. Then I went to a Waterstones author event where I saw Mikaela Loach talk about her new book, It's Not That Radical, Climate Action to Transform Our World. She is a phenomenal young climate justice activist, and she talks about, it's actually a really good book because I think you can really read, if anyone's into like reading about climate justice or the climate crisis, it can almost feel a bit hopeless when you're reading these books because of, you know, the crisis as it is. However, Mikaela Loach writes it in such a good, in a way that it's about, like, it's not that radical. Like, I think a lot of climate justice activists are deemed as radical, or doing, you know, things that people are just like, oh, you know, don't disrupt my day. But the world is on fire. Anyway, this is a book of hope. It's quite emotional, as she talks about. She's originally from Jamaica. Or her parents, or she was very young when she moved to Britain from Jamaica, I think. She has a Jamaican mum and a white father, who I think is from Britain. I might have got that a bit wrong. And I think she was a medical student in Edinburgh, possibly. So she's young, maybe, I'm guessing. I'm not going to guess her age, but she's a young activist, in case I get it wrong. And she talks about, I mean, she's even taken the UK government to court. She does a lot of activism, but she also talks about just the collective and doing stuff as a collective, and that it's not the individual's own responsibility to, like, I mean, yeah, do your recycling, do the bits that you can, but we can only make a difference as a collective, and less about individualism and what you can do. She talks quite emotionally about her Jamaican grandmother and how at the moment, like, there's a beach that she used to go to and spend time on when she was a young child, and it's now not there anymore. So it's not like this thing in the future. Well, it is for some, you know, some of the Western countries, like, other than, you know, extreme weather events, there's not a lot of people in the UK that are experiencing what they're experiencing in India and Jamaica right now, which is absolutely, like, in front of their eyes stuff happening. So it's a really accessible book, and it still fills you with hope. That was the main thing. So I highly recommend. I'm so excited to see her at the author event, and obviously I wanted to sign it. Let's see. And it says, Johanna in solidarity, Mikaela Loach. Lots of lovey hearts. And then after that, I followed it up with this audiobook, because this author, Tori Tsui, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, wrote this book, I think, before It's Not That Radical, and it's called It's Not Just You, How to Navigate Eco-Anxiety and the Climate Crisis. So this was quite a nice one. I read it on Everand, I think, on audio, and it was a nice one to follow up on just, like, because obviously exposing yourself to the climate crisis and everything can actually be quite anxiety inducing. And oh, sorry, that was a wee notification there on WhatsApp from my goddaughter. So it was quite nice to kind of listen to another one, which really tells you how to manage sort of the existential doom that you can feel around that topic. So highly recommend it. Really good audiobook. And actually, I think Mikaela Loach references this author in her book as well, so that's why I ended up picking it up. Another one I read and really enjoyed, it was 4.5 out of 5 star. I don't have it with me because I had to give it back to the library. It was like a 2-week loan. It's called Monsters, A Fan's Dilemma. And it really explores the challenge between the art and the artist when the artist is problematic. You take the likes of Woody Allen, Roman Polanski, Picasso, J.K. Rowling. So Claire Dederer does a really good job of exploring the conflict you can feel when you are so devoted or love a painting, films, books, music, but then the artist who originates that does really bad. I mean, obviously, there's in those names that I mentioned, very differing examples of, illegal behaviour. And I found it just a really fascinating exploration because it's not black and white. I think this is why I have the problem with cancel culture, because people are complex and people are human and people can make mistakes. Not like Roman Polanski type mistakes. They're obvious ones that are just illegal and not allowed. But you can say things and have opinions which, in reflection, if you realise they hurt a particular community, if you come out and then maybe apologise for that and reflect on that and change your behaviour. I think we're just too quick to kind of cancel because people aren't binary and people aren't black and white. And as long as there's that space to discuss, in saying that, some people then still dig deep down and refuse, or their behaviour is inappropriate and illegal, and then, there's not much coming back from that. So take Picasso and his behaviour towards women, which was abhorrent, but then he's still hailed as this legendary artist. So there isn't as with this topic, there isn't a kind of what do I do? Because she's very good at exploring, it depends on what your relationship is with the art. So say, for example, you had a Michael Jackson song as your first, if you were married and you had a stereotypical wedding and you had a first dance song, and that first dance song was a Michael Jackson song, well, you just never play that again because, Michael Jackson. And you're like, well, probably not, because that song means something to someone, not because of the behaviours of that artist, but because of the context. So the kind of recipient of the art has their own story as well as the artist. I don't articulate this very well, but that's the premise of the book. And she does it so well that I found it an absolutely fascinating read. I think you can get an audiobook, I would assume, as well. But I got my book out of the library, that's why I don't have it anymore, so I gave it back. Then, it's because I read Paris Memoir. I thought I was in the mood for another memoir. And so I picked up Brave by Rose McGowan, which was really interesting. It's actually not a very long book on audio. It's only 6.5 hours, so I actually don't know how long it is on paper or hardback. But it was a hard but good read. By good, I was just so honest, powerful, insightful. I actually didn't know much more about Rose McGowan other than she was in the TV series Charmed. She was in Scream. She dated not Charles. Wrong Manson. She dated Marilyn Manson. And obviously she was in, then one of the most famous sort of victims of Harvey Weinstein, and was quite vocal in the whistleblowing part of that case. So I was actually just really intrigued to find out about her upbringing. So I didn't realise she grew up in a cult. Now maybe somebody told me this and I totally forgot it, but is it the Children of God cult? Yeah, or mum and dad went into this cult. I don't think she was born into it. Can't remember now. But yeah, that was a fascinating start to your life. Her life is so interesting. And her resilience and her sense of self and what's the word? I suppose empowerment now is really, really interesting to read. So I highly recommend it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. I recommend it in audio. Actually, she reads the audiobook as Paris reads her audio as well. And then I went on to another memoir. I was on a roll, no wonder. Like, memoirs were shown high as my genres. It was called Sociopath by Patric Gagne, I think. So sorry for mispronouncing. I should have checked it beforehand. I hate mispronouncing people's names. So this is Patric's story of her life growing up and also living with the diagnosis of sociopathy. Is that how you say it? Yeah, so she's a sociopath. So for anyone that doesn't know much about that diagnosis, which would be me included, you have all the kind of media, possibly myths, or the movie representation, not very many positive representations of people who are diagnosed as a sociopath or with living with sociopathy. So Patric talks about, I mean, she's married with kids now, and she still has this diagnosis, she manages it. So I just found this utterly fascinating. It blew a lot of the myths about sociopathy and what you would think of people who live with this illness, find and are challenged with. I actually find a lot of like books about mental health really, really interesting. So I was drawn to this, and she reads the audiobook. I think I either read it on Everand or BookBeat. Can't remember which audio provider. Utterly fascinating as she explores her own, because I think she studies something like clinical psychology. I'm going to get it wrong, but it's like in that sphere. And so she explores pretty much her own diagnosis as well as working with other people. And I think she's kind of well known in America in respect of writing in that area. I could be like, I think I've just made that bit up, to be honest, because I'm looking at it and trying to remember. I'm looking at the cover. It's here now, obviously, for you, because I'll edit that in. But other than just say it was just fascinating is the main word for it. So interesting. If you've got an interest in kind of people's own stories, but also sort of mental health, absolutely pick it up. Then there is another, now how many did I give? Yes, there is, I think I only gave 3 5-stars. So Paris Hilton was 1 5-star. And then this was the second of the 3 5-stars. And this, I mean, you've heard me talk about this in maybe other videos, is the actual finished copy, because I went to see her at a book event just there. So I have recorded some of that for the weekend reading vlog that's just about to come up for you. Blue Sisters by Coco Meller. This blew me away. It is a beautiful, harrowing, powerful, complex story of sisterhood. Now, as in, like, sisters, the opening paragraph, she talks about how your sister isn't your best friend, right? And I think it's making a differentiation between, like, you don't choose your family, and it's one of the sibling relationship is a really complex relationship in that, for most, many people have very complex relationships with family members, but in instance for many, there could be sisters where you would do anything for them, as well as, like, you literally, it's kind of like a love-hate. And she explores the story of 3 sisters a year on following the death of their 4th sister, Nikki. and the three sisters that are still alive, and Nikki has a presence in it, but they're kind of all over the different parts of the world. You've got Avery, who's a recovering addict and is now a straight laced sort of high-flying lawyer, lives in London with her wife, who's a therapist. Actually was her therapist, so that's complicated. They've got the kind of posh house, live in Hampstead, the looks of the best life, but Avery's carrying a lot of baggage and dishonesty. Then you've got Bonnie, who's like a world championship boxer who gave up fighting after a particular fight, and she now works as a bouncer in LA, and she's really struggling just with all of that stuff, where she kind of walked away from a career for many reasons are kind of unrequited. Well, no, it wasn't. Like, it's because she is in love with her boxing trainer. And then you've got Lucky, who's the youngest. I think Nikki, even with Nikki, who is the sister that has since died, and this is a year on, it's not a spoiler, it starts pretty early on. Lucky is the young one who is a fashion model. She's living in Paris, and she is living the high life to extreme, to the point of absolute annihilation. So as you can tell, there's like these three sisters that are having just not dealing with the death of their sister, and then their mum's like, guess what, I'm going to sell the flat in New York, which is where their sister lived. And this starts to bring them all together, and you just realise how they're all at different stages of their own level of destruction, and how none of them have dealt with the grief of losing their sister, Nikki. There's stories of, so there's amazing queer representation, there's drug addiction, there's endometriosis, there's a lot of chat around the want or the not wanting to have a child and be a mother. There's so much in it. Coco Mellor just writes amazingly well. I love her storytelling. It was even made, she also was just a really nice person. And this is outstanding. What's it? Transcendently beautiful. Couldn't have said it better. 5 stars. Read it. Just came out like last 2 weeks in May. Lucy, you want out again? It's nearly bedtime. She likes to go to bed at 9. Then I read, which I've spoken about on before in one of the vlogs, The Young Team by Graham Armstrong. It is a coming of age story it's written in Lanarkshire Scots, so it's very colloquial slang, kind of like Trainspotting, but not Trainspotting, but it is deemed as the Trainspotting for the next generation. It follows Azzy Williams, who is part of gang culture. The author it's part autobiographical from the author's point of view, because he grew up in the same place as fictional characters and was in gangs. So it's all about gang culture, the young person's like need for belonging, their disconnection with society. Hold on, Lucy wants out because she's a wee bandit. I'm just going to leave the door open even though it's a wee bit chilly, because she'll just want back in about 3 seconds. It packs a punch. You watch Azzy and his friends go from just a sense of like fighting on the streets, taking drugs, going to raves, and then some of them moving on, some of them not making it because they die or take their own life. And then you see Azzy striving for hope and for change, and some of the relationship he builds there. It's so powerful, it's so well written. Some of it is like, that's not a scene or a culture I was, you're aware of it as you're growing up, but like I wasn't in gangs or anything like that. And so you could get that sense of what it was like being high on drugs at raves and all. It has descriptions are so immersive. It is such a powerful, like, if you love Trainspotting, read this book. If you've never read Trainspotting, unconfirmed. 5 stars though, utterly adored it. So I was having a good month. And then I read Wordslut, Feminist Guide to Taking Back the English Language by Amanda Montell, who wrote Cultish, which I also really enjoyed. And this is like I read it in audio. It was a really good book to listen to in audio as she discusses the evolution of language and the misogyny in language, but also how, you know, words like, apparently like the word girl never actually was gender specific many like centuries ago. Just have a bit of my tea before it gets cold. But you see this? You see it's just sitting out there. Are you coming in or what? Well, she likes to go to bed about 9. It's currently 1:45. She's just staring at me. She's like, if I come in though and you're talking to your camera and I go to my bed, like, how long am I going to have to wait to get my chew? Maybe that's what she's thinking. Nothing gets past her. Anyway, so yeah, it is actually a funny, oh right, yeah, where did it go? Yeah, so looks at words like bitch and like really like words that are kind of have been made really derogatory towards women. How there's a lot of what the origins of some of that, how women are reclaiming certain words, and clearly someone has walked past the house. Just wait for that candidate. Lucy, it's all okay. It's okay. You're out in patrol. Are you out? She's away out. Oh, it's hackles down. Lucy, come here. What's this? Get down. Come on. It's okay. It's okay. There is no home invasion. Although, the fact that I'm on my own tonight, I do like this level of a, you know, what do you call it? Guard dogging. I don't think that's a word. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so it's really funny exploration on the kind of development and evolution of language. I find language and how it's always changing really fascinating. I also am a feminist, so I do love reading. So that was the perfect combo of a book. Highly recommend it, especially on audio. I was listening to that while painting a fence. Then I read Grown by Tiffany D Jackson. Tiffany D Jackson. I've read a couple of Tiffany D Jackson's books. Which ones? I've read White Smoke, which is a good one. Most of her books are all young adult books, and White Smoke is a good kind of haunted house one. I've read Allegedly and Monday's Not Coming. Both of them really powerful books and highly recommend. There's one that's called Let Me Hear a Rhyme, but I've not read that one. So for this, a lot of YA books are really good for putting content warning. So this one's content warning mentions sexual abuse, rape, assault, child abuse, kidnapping, addiction to opioids. So any of those triggers for you, avoid. But this is a fascinating story of where we learn about Enchanted, who's the main character, and she's basically wooed, fundamentally groomed by kind of high-flying rapper, musician, R&B artist, legendary R&B artist Corey Fields. Spots her at audition and then starts like, and she's young, she's like, how old is she? I'm going to say 15 or 16, right? So she's a very young teenage girl. And he's like, I can make your music dreams come true. It was like, anyway, think R. Kelly, because that was the inspiration for this book. That it's more than just that, because she really explores that experience from Enchanted's point of view, and how easy it can go from, and not just because she was in awe of this R&B artist, Corey, And you see how he manipulates her, how she gets herself into such a coercive, controlling, abusive relationship, and how he detaches her from her parents. It's so well written. That's one thing. Tiffany D Jackson is so good at writing books that represent people of colour. A lot of social justice issues. She does it in such a accessible and poignant way. I mean, this is young adult, and I'm like, everybody should read that, young adult or not. Obviously, content warnings aside, with that. Utterly gripping. I actually read most of it on audio, to be fair, and the audio production's stunning. Yeah, powerful is the one word to describe it. Then I read The Best of Friends by Lucinda Berry. This was a solid thriller, solid 3 stars. I think I've just read a lot of Lucinda Berry books that have really blown me away, and this one was good. There's obviously a friendship group of 3, is it? 3 boys, and there's been a gun incident. One of them's dead, one of them's deemed the responsible one, and the other one is not very well in hospital, and their parents are trying to piece together how this all happened, going from blaming each other and stuff, and obviously there's plot twists and the likes. It was solid, it was good, it was 3 out of 5 stars. There are other Lucinda Berry books that I enjoy more. Then I read Next of Kin. Boy oh boy, wow. So this is my second Kia Abdullah book. This is a good sort of crime thriller. The last one I read was Those People Next Door, which is also really good, but this starts out, so the premise is there's 2 sisters, and one of them has kids, the other one doesn't. So long story short, brother-in-law asks aunt, one of the sisters, to drop our nephew off at school because he's running late, blah blah, something else has happened. She said no bother. Anyway, she gets distracted by work, forgets the wee ones in the car. It's really hot outside. Yeah, doesn't end well. So there's a criminal case that happens off the back of that in respect of negligence or manslaughter, and if she meant to do it. You think that's bad enough? Wait till you see the plot twists that come in this book. Utterly jaw-dropping. I didn't see any of those come in, and I was just like, whoa, gut punch kind of ones. Wasn't expecting it. I was going through this going, well, this is a good crime thriller. This is imagine your sister was responsible for the death of your child, and all the emotions that come from that. That's not even the big twisty bit, and I can't even go into that, other than if you like crime thrillers, read this book. And then I finished the month by being utterly disappointed. I picked up another thriller, which is The Wrong Sister by Claire Douglas. It's Claire Douglas's new thriller, so I just got it out from the library, and I was really excited because I like Claire Douglas, and I'm really sorry to say this because I hate dissing authors, but dear God, this starts out really well. So there's 2 sisters. One of them is a high-flying scientist with a successful husband. They've got lots of money, they've got the lifestyle, they've got a holiday home. And then there's other sister, Tasha, is it? I'm forgetting all their names. Who's, much more kind of conventional, married with 2 kids, hasn't left the town that they grew up in anyway. The more conventional sister is offered to use older sister's holiday home for the weekend, so her and her husband go off for the weekend, and auntie comes in with her husband to look after the kids for the weekend. Then something happens, and basically they're attacked in their home, not the holiday home. So the people that are away on holiday, her sister is looking after her kids, is attacked in her home, kids are fine, but her husband's been killed and she's left in hospital. And then the couple that come back get a note through the door going, it was supposed to be you. So, sounds good, doesn't it? Sounds good. After that all happens, there are a plethora of subplots that just, I was just like, what? Why? Why is that happening? There's also a plot where, like, when they're on the holiday, while this, you know, while their sister's looking after the kids, while they're in their holiday home, they get, like, kind of stalked and chased by this random guy on holiday about the same time that the attack happens in this house. But do they ever refer back to that? So you think they're connected? No, it's never spoken about again, really, after that. Because all these random subplots come flying in, and I'm like, what? I don't know. Like, and I don't mind far-fetched, but this went to a whole other level of, like, why is this happening? So disappointed. But don't let that put you off. There are some really good reviews about this. They're just not from me. So that, I was going to say, was a whistle stop. It's a very long-winded. Should we back out again? It's because it's nearly 9 o'clock and I haven't put her to bed with her chew. Anyway, I'll stop moaning about Lucy Lou because I love her tits. So, bar the ones I don't actually have with me in real life, these were some of my 15 reads in the month. I mean, given that my average rating was over 4 stars, I think that makes for a good reading month, if I do say so myself. Ended the month pretty badly, but I started it well, I have to say. And so let me know, have you read any of these books? Do you want to read them after hearing me talk about them? Also, if you've liked any of the books that I was like, I don't know, if you like this one or other ones where I was like, Rose Madder by Stephen King. That was the one I DNF'd. I've got it in paperbacks over there. I should have really go and get it, but I don't know why. I had so much potential as like a really, really dark thriller. It had 2 really dark, really good main characters in it. Rosie and is it Norma, her husband, who's a nasty piece of work, but it's long, right? And after a while getting into it, I was like, where's this going and what's this supernatural element, which I don't think was required. I thought it could be just a straight story. And don't get me wrong, like Stephen King does have a lot of books with like supernatural elements in it. I don't mind it, but it just didn't, it jarred with me and I started going, I don't care how this ends, which made me feel really bad, so I stopped reading it. I literally returned the audiobook. So I might go back one day, maybe it's a soft DNF, but unconfirmed, too many books, so little time. So yeah, I thought I'd better tell you that one. Anyway, that was my May reading journey. Let me know if I've interested you in reading any of these books. Also let me know in the comments, what was your favourite book of May? I'd love to know. Like, should I be reading, or was there like books that really stand out for you and you think I would like? Let me know in the comments, because I always love adding to my TBR. Anyway, thanks as always for watching, for my rambly chat about May's reading, and I'll see you again soon, probably for a weekend reading vlog. And for now, thanks as always for watching, for liking it and subscribing if you do. Thank you very much, it's much appreciated, and until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye!